Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy Bolduc, and my guest today is MaryEllen Lundy, and she has a business called an Eco-Organized Approach. And that's a really interesting title, MaryEllen. I really like it because it's not what you think it is, really.
Right.
And
No, it's
so,
not. And there's so many twists and turns for the
yes,
business, and I can't wait to tell you more about
yes.
it.
So
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here because I love to hear about this. And of course, we've been talking for the last hour already. So
Yeah.
we're all warmed up, you guys.
Yes.
But so tell us about an eco-organized approach. Like, what is that about?
Oh, it's my whole life and it's my heart, and I love everything about it. Um, I own an eco-organized approach, which is an organizing company based in Stoughton, Massachusetts. And we help homes and businesses located within 30 minutes of Stoughton, which is outside of Boston. And so, things are fairly close together, Amy. And so the radius covers maybe 20 or 22 towns, something like that. So
Wow.
it's a lot. It's a lot. I could be, in a city one day in Quincy or in Braintree, Massachusetts, or I could be, in Attleboro, close to Rhode Island, which is, smaller, or down in East Bridgewater, which is lots of farmland. So it really covers a lot. And we help homes and businesses get organized. We are loving everything that's happening and doing crazy, exciting things with the items that come from clients' homes and bringing them to the hands of people, some in need, some that can just use it within the community. So the items that you have in your home or business that we have decided that you do not need anymore, ultimately the decision, of course, is on the client and decides that they don't want. We are putting things like potting soil, scissors into the hands of 4-H groups that are using to cultivate those to make a terrarium or to make a Mother's Day present. We are getting magazines, single sheets, fitted in top sheets and pillowcases and candles and things like that to sober living houses. Um, Baby items, clothing to family shelters. And we have even created multiple annual events to help get rid of items from clients' homes. So every year we do a yearly free sale. We are changing it up a bit this year, but in years past, it's in my driveway in my home in Stoughton, set up like a regular yard sale, right? You like that yard? I didn't use my Boston accent and say yard. Um, all these tables are set up in my yard, and everything, of course, is organized. So everything is together with clothes and shoes and books and kitchen items and seasonal items. People come and shop at my house and take anything that they want as much as they would like, and they simply leave a donation for the local Stoughton and Sharon, which is our town next door, food pantries. So to date, in the last 6 years, we have raised over 5,000 food items, as well as close to $1,000 in donations that people have left. One man came once and left me a $500 check. I almost fell on the floor, Amy. I know, literally almost fell on the floor. But more importantly, we have raised awareness of the existence of the food pantry, right? Because that's really what we do at an eco-organized approach is we help people, right? So those items have come from the clients' homes and businesses and then helped other people in the community. We get pictures year round of how they have reused, how they have recycled the cool item that they got,
Oh, I love
from the
that.
free sale. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And then every December, at the local church, they give us the basement. And we use that for the annual wrap and chat. And so you get to come to the church without children, right? You bring all of your bags of stuff, and then you get to come and wrap. with a simple $20 donation, and everything is supplied for you. The scissors, the tape dispensers, the tags, the Sharpies, the boxes, the tissue paper, the wrapping paper, everything is supplied for you.
Wow.
And it is so fun. Well, this is just one of the things that needed to be created, Amy, because there was such a surplus of stuff, right, coming from clients' homes and businesses. And as we discussed, I live in a very small space, and my husband wants to kill me most of the time when other people's stuff comes into my space. And so it was really, this business was created, Amy, out of the excess of other people, right? Of what do you do with all of this stuff? You
Mhm.
know, and yes, we're friends. I could offer you some things and offer this aunt this thing, my sister this, but it was excessive because clients, you know, are still allowed to fill my van, my car. And it's a lot of stuff. Sometimes it's categorized, sometimes it's just stuff, right? But I told you we do homes and businesses. In one of the businesses, this woman bought down in 𝗏𝗏𝗄𝘁𝘁, which is toward the Cape, bought a business just the way it was, Amy. So there was, you know, 30 years of material and stuff. Okay. Now, this woman 100%, Amy, could have, like we spoke about before, gotten a dumpster, right? And she could have paid her employees to fill that dumpster. Let me tell you, it would have cost her more money to do a dumpster than it was to hire me. As you know, a single woman business owner at the time, because we took that material and made reusable and sustainable bags. I have some, I like to call them my sewing angels in the community. They like to work behind me and don't want the attention, which is great because I love attention. So I get to be in the forefront. But I've helped these women make the reusable and sustainable bags. They take like 20 minutes a piece,
Yeah.
but they are gorgeous. They are gorgeous. So everyone that goes to the Wrap and Chat event every year is allowed several of those. And again, going through the material, it was finding, you know, anything gold, silver, red, green, like the cool stuff. But it's all designer fabric, like $130 a yard. So it's not Christmassy per se, but kind of Christmassy, you
Right.
know. And so we are all about trying to reuse things, right? That sustainability part that we've talked about, and just seeing how long that life cycle of something can last.
Oh, that's very cool. I mean, there are just so many things about that that are just like it's so community minded, which of course I love, but it's also
Yes.
just like it's helping people to let go of things, knowing that it's going to be re
Yes,
and gifted and like it's going into good hands and not
absolutely.
thrown away.
Absolutely. It really does help clients let go of things, knowing that just that concept that, especially in today's world, Amy, everything is so, you know, easily broken and not
Yeah.
sustainable, right? And disposable. And people have paid money for these things, right? And that often bogs them down, you know. But the fact of the matter is if you paid $2 for this, the $2 is already gone, right? Amy, it's gone. The $2 isn't going to come back by using it, but knowing that this can go to an art teacher as a pencil holder, or to a sober living house, or to a shelter, you know,
Right.
it eases the burden and the guilt that people feel, and they're like, just take it, just take it.
Right. Oh my goodness. That's beautiful. And so you do lots of that type of thing, but there are
Yes.
so many things that you're doing. I mean, so you're saying like, for downsizing, and you were talking about like rethinking your purchases. That was another thing that really caught my eye.
Yes.
Um,
This business has changed me, Amy.
I
It
know
has,
you're like a fiend now.
right? You do get like a thrill and excitement when you can find something in your house to reuse, right? Like we talked about the iPhone box. Everyone has iPhone boxes, but and also just living with less. I don't think I need as much stuff, as I have. Um, but you want to make memories with people. You don't need the stuff as much,
Yeah.
but seeing the excess that the majority of people live in, it is wasteful. It is. And you want space at your kitchen table to enjoy being with those people. I told you my children are getting older at 15, 14, and 12, and they're crazy funny. And it's so awesome sitting at the kitchen table and talking to them because they're, crazy, these like little humans now and have their own thoughts and feelings. And it's nice having space to do that, even though we live in a small house. But we just recently finished the largest estate that an eco-organized approach has ever done. And it was sad. It was sad. I had, two employees crying at just the beautifulness of this couple's life. They, didn't have children. And it was just so sad to see their whole life gone, as they had passed and all of their stuff was just there, and, we saved a ton of things and boxed up beautifully and packaged and everything for the family members, the wedding album, the photos, but those are the things that are important, the wedding dress, things like that. But all the rest of it is just stuff. It doesn't define me. It doesn't define who I am, all of that stuff. But it's about creating the spaces that people want, right? It's like reclaiming your space. And that's what, we do here at an eco-organized approach, to be whatever it is that you want to curate. If you want to curate an in-home, photography studio, let's do that. If you want a playroom for your children, or that space in the 2-car garage where you can't fit a car,
Right. Yeah, we were talking about the garage before recording. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Like the when you drive by and you see that 2-car garage and you see 2 cars outside of the garage.
Right. There's
What's
a
inside of the
reason.
garage?
Yes, ma'am. There is a reason for all of that. And it's crazy, but people have so many different reasons for hiring us, right? Like we get hired by a lot of young widows that, after a recent loss with children. We get hired a lot by people that are pregnant, injured, about to have surgery. We do estates. A lot of times we get hired because, your mother-in-law is coming into town and there's no room for that woman to sleep in your house, right? Because basically what we've found is that if you have extra space, it gets used.
Yeah,
So it's about
for sure.
making space. I have a girlfriend who has an interior design and organizing business, and I tell her all the time, I'm like, I hate you, because all I ever think to say is your tagline, which is make space for the things you love. And I'm like, I wish that was my tagline, Jen, because that's really what this business is about,
Right.
and redefining your purpose, and enjoying being together with people, and less emphasis on the stuff,
Hmm. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't necessarily need to use those exact words that Jen uses. Like
Right, right.
my friend Lisa, who was on the podcast, Lisa 𝗚𝗿cie, she says she has a productivity podcast, and so it's just like making space in your life for what's important.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Say what
And
it
that's really what this is. I have this, joke line with clients that, if Aunt Bertha doesn't live here, then neither does her stuff. You know, you you can have a few things that remind you of your favorite auntie, right? But let's redefine that and let's find a beautiful way to honor her, because having 14 boxes in the corner of your garage of her stuff that you cleaned out her estate from 7 years ago and are still sitting there in the corner of your garage is not a way to honor her, you know? And it's about finding those things, that are important to you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, and you were also saying earlier, before we started recording, Mary Ellen, that you've actually had people call you like late in the night and like, oh my gosh, I can breathe easily.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's gonna
Like
feel so good.
it's the best feeling in the world, knowing that you've done a good job. Lots, clients have said like she felt like a friend after the first few minutes of in the house, and all of those things are wonderful. I've always been a people person, so this part of it is fun, but really changing lives it's not even definable, honestly, Amy. Like getting messages like, you have saved my marriage. I can finally breathe again. I have not curing anxiety by any means, but I have less anxiety right now. Those are all major, major wins, like that's like you're doing something right. And it's your own like 5-star Yelp review or Google review, if you will,
Right?
because a lot of our clients don't want people to know that they're using an organizer, right? And we talked about like that mental health piece.
Right.
But you, of course, I think it was like Benjamin Franklin or something said like every minute that you spend organizing, you regain an hour of your life or something like that. I don't know. Some famous dead person said that, Amy. But it is so true because being organized, Amy, saves you time. It saves you money. It saves you sanity. I'd say like 20% of the fights that I have with my husband are when he can't find something. And of course, I'm supposed to know, right, where everything is. And then it causes a fight. There's friction. And that's only,
But do you know where it is?
yes, but sometimes I forget the awesome spot that I put it in. Sometimes, but yeah, it's about everything really has a home and you want it in that home.
Hmm.
We got into a fight, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago. I was going out with my son and he was staining the deck. And I said, babe, it's really hot. Like, you need to go put on some sunblock. And he's like, nah, I'm fine. Get home several hours later with the baby and he's burnt to a crisp. And I was like, why didn't you go put sunblock on? He was like, well, I did. I went into the linen closet and I couldn't find it. And I was like, you're an idiot because it's in the seasonal bin with bug spray and sunblock. But he couldn't find it there, right?
Did I just see his
Um,
head shadow?
yes, yes. And like it's almost like my brain sometimes works like, like an old-fashioned like library when we were little with like the card system and how everything, that's really the way my brain thinks, like it's like these categories.
Hmm.
And that's sort of what my brain did was don't have enough room for sunblock, so it has to go in with another component, right? Yeah, so that's what I did. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for him.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm having something similar to that. There are a couple of things that I'm trying to remember where I put it. But
Hmm.
usually I know where exactly where everything is, especially in this small space. Like I know where
Yes.
everything goes, but like I can't find my razor blades.
Yeah.
Recyclable razor blades, and I can't find my tooth powder recipe.
Yes.
Um, but I know that I'll find them, and I know I'll be like, I totally get my reason for putting.
Yes. Oh, that's why I put that there,
But
right?
at the moment, I can't remember where that is. But I'm like that as well. Like I know where everything is all the time, and it's always been like that. But so I want to like, I'm not quite sure how to do this really smoothly, but
Okay.
you have a teaching degree, and you were a
Yes.
teacher. And now
Yes.
you're organizing. So I'm just curious
Yes.
is there like a story where you made a shift and like where did that come from?
So it really happened the most organic way. I always liked to like clean and organize, but like other people's stuff. It's like when I was young, right? Because it's easy and it's the same carryover for the business right now, Amy, that the stuff isn't mine, so I don't have that attachment. It wasn't the last gift my dad gave me before he died or something, you know? So just that component is easier, but it was the most organic thing ever. I was home, for several years raising three little children that are 3 years apart. So it's constant chaos all the time, right? And I was in a very small moms group in Stoughton of about like 50 or 60 women. And there would just be a bunch of posts of like, oh, I'm so irritated with the Tupperware, that type of thing. And I'd be like, oh, click, this is what I do with mine. And they're like, oh, that looks so good. And I'm like, it does? Oh, okay, thanks, cool. Right. And that just continued happening of like shoe organization or, the silverware drawer, whatever. And so it went from that small group, Amy, in transposed to the moms of Stoughton, which was like, a group of like 1,000 or 2,000 people. And then, this again was 6+ years ago when organizing wasn't as much of a thing. And somebody was like, I really need help organizing my basement. I need somebody. Is there such a thing as like an organizer? Is this even a thing? And like, again, I didn't ask for this. I just sort of went where I was called, Amy. And next thing I know, I've like booked a job, helping someone organize their basement. And I told you I'm 46 now, and I value and appreciate my time more than I ever have in my whole life. But also running a business, running a house, having 3 children, a husband, my mom lives downstairs, taking care of property and just life.
Mhm.
I want to make the least amount of decisions as possible, right? And so when everything is done and those razor blades are next to the shaving cream in like a health and beauty bin, you don't have to make that decision, right? Because it's there. It's logical. I have clients that are like, loving this neck pillow that they only use for travel, that they only travel 3 times a year. And I can hold my own. I'm intelligent, Amy, but like when I tell clients I think it needs to go in your suitcase, they're like, oh, MaryEllen, I never thought of that. That's amazing. I'm gonna go do that now, and that's awesome. It's awesome. But like it just fell into my lap, Amy. I didn't go looking for this. I really didn't. I did have skills as a teacher, and I was organized because I was a resource room teacher. So I taught grades 1 through 6. So the skill level for that, as you can imagine, is abundant. And so I had to have every multitude of math, every multitude of English, and all of these other disciplines. So it just sort of stemmed from there. It really did. And then that carried over once we had children and, owned a house and all of that stuff. And then I went to my husband one day and I was like, babe, I think I can do this as a business. And he's like, people are going to pay you to go in their house and take their stuff. And I go, yep. Yep, they are.
That way.
Yep, they are. And I know I'm worth every penny that I charge because I know I'm good at my job, but I also know that there's so many effects. There's so many gorgeous ripples to this business. When I finish a job for, I have this wonderful client in her 60s. She's so fun, great lady. We have a blast. She feels good. But when I send her a picture of cats playing on her cat castle, cat tower that I just gave to the woman that fosters animals, like, that's amazing. She's
Right.
like, MaryEllen, this is incredible. Like, right. And so I get to help people, but we get to help so many people and so many types of people.
Right. And I'm just thinking, so that specific story right there
Yes.
about the cat tower, like one, you're giving this woman this space back,
Yes.
and then you're helping someone else, but then you send that picture to the first lady and she gets double help.
Yes. Yes.
So of course she's going to be like, Mary Ellen, you have saved me. Like
Yes,
you make me
absolutely.
feel good all the time, all over the place.
Yes. Because you just get bogged down because everything costs money. Everything costs your time. And again, I value and appreciate my time. But like we said, it really has changed the way I think. I'm not going to go to a store and buy, this little air hockey game that I know the children are going to play with for, a day or two, maybe, and then they're going to forget about it. So I get to use that creativity, Amy, that I had as a teacher and find creative ways. This fun little bingo game, excuse me, this fun little air hockey, ice hockey thing can be a teacher prize for a teacher. It can be a bingo prize for, any type of school that runs that. It can be a prize for a group of older adults that are developmentally delayed that play bingo games or trivia games for prizes. And, I get to form connections with people that I might not have
Right.
before. Like I meet someone new and I think, oh, that's so cool. How can I help you? You know, um, and I get super nice messages from teachers, the art teacher,
Oh, for sure.
at the local elementary school because she gets everything from googly eyes to pipe cleaners to paper to scrapbooking paper that costs 25 cents a piece to material from that woman's business, to magazines, right? And that saves her time, money, because teachers, when I was last teaching, I think I got like $25 reimbursed a year from the PTA. Which is wonderful because it's something, but I never bothered to write anything off on my taxes, Amy. It wasn't worth it. I was spending my own time and money making and building things,
And
right?
shopping for things.
Yes, and but my time that I'm not getting paid for
Exactly.
because when you start a new job, depending on the town, if you obviously you go to a very wealthy town, you might be lucky, but I really got handed like a stapler, I think, in green folders with the tabs, the hanging tabs. That's all I got. Every ruler in that classroom was mine. Every, tape dispenser, every bin, every book, every bin, everything. These, you know, I would be out shopping, yard sailing for these on the weekends,
Right.
when I wasn't teaching,
Yep.
right? And so it's just about, it's super fun. It's like a puzzle, right? It's like a game for me of, ooh, how can I help this person?
Yes.
I just went to a networking event this morning. And this woman is starting her own tax firm. And I was thinking, ooh, how can I help you? You're going to need everything new, everything, not new, but you're going to need all
You're
of
gonna
this
need stuff. Yeah.
influx of stuff, right? You have 5 desks for, these tax people. They all need
All their
staplers. They all need tape
cabinets.
dispensers. They all need, paper clips, all of that stuff. So that's really where we come in, and of course teachers are the big ones because I was a teacher, for years and loved that. But teachers are so easy to help, because they do so much amazingness. But you bring joy to other people also with this helping. Not only do we bring joy to the clients, but we bring joy on the other side, which is just awesome. And you hope that like it's like, that paying it forward concept that hopefully I've just made your day and made your day, and then you go and try to pass that along,
Wow.
just that kindness.
I have this sort of vision in my head of
Okay.
how your head works a little bit. Like going
Good
to
luck.
these networking events. You're like a super extrovert. I can tell. And so like if you go
Yes.
to this networking event, you're meeting someone new and you're like,
Yes.
I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna watch for something for you, and I bet that you would love, blah blah. Like you meet
Yes.
someone who's I don't know, the tax lady, okay,
Yes.
and you're like, oh, like you were just saying, you're going to need all these things. And so the next time I go into someone's house and I'm helping them to declutter or whatever the word is, the PC,
Yes.
when I'm taking things out of their house, I'm going to have you in mind. And so when you go to these
100%.
events, you're like, how many different people can I meet? And like, and just like build my network bigger. And, so
Yes.
I always have a place for things to go.
I do. And I mess with clients sometimes and I'll say like, I don't know how I'm going to reuse this, but I'll message you later. Like, I know you don't want this. We're going to take it. I'm just not exactly sure what the hell I'm going to do with it yet. But do you want to know my favorite ways to recycle?
Of course.
Okay. Besides the events that we've created, the free sale and the wrap and chat, um, I love, love, love this. So we recycle license plates.
Shut up.
Yes. So I found this man who runs this small business with his daughters, and they cut the license plate, cut each letter, and make words and designs out of this. So literally, I'm going to get I had some workman's comp stuff to do, Amy. So I go to my insurance agent and I see somebody that I normally don't talk to. And so I was chatting with him for a minute and I kind of like look behind him and I see this bin of all license plates.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what you doing with those over there? And he's like, oh, I'm going to pin them all up in my barn. I go, you are? And he goes, no. He goes, I got to cut them up. Because
I'm not going to
everything,
do that.
right? Everything has changed with the Department of the registry. You used to have to bring them into them, but now you don't have to do that anymore in Massachusetts, which means the majority of people would take it and throw it away. And I hate throwing stuff away. Even if we had to pay for trash by the bag, which we don't, thank God, but a lot of towns do. Really, a lot of towns do. So he was like, let me check with my boss. He's like, I'll call you later. So he called and he goes, as long as you, promise that they're getting cut up. And I was like, sweet, they will be. And so I gave this dude like a huge, huge stack. And the other way that I love to recycle is with the local animal shelters. Because they're already doing such incredible, because they're already doing such incredible work and working on limited funds like our teachers are, right? And a lot of the other organizations that we gift to. But animal shelters, not only do they need food, for dogs and pets, which strangely enough, we do still collect in the business. And it's just like anything else. People buy in excess, right? When something's on sale, they buy like 7 of them. And then you don't need all 7 and they use 2 and then people stop eating it or whatever. The dog didn't like it. So we give the local animal shelters food, sometimes toys that are brand new. But the animal shelters still need paper. They still need Sharpies. They need Post-its. Right. And I'll send you some stuff later, some graphic images, but Post-its are a huge thing. Everyone has Post-its, right? And so it's just about finding creative and unique ways. But the animal shelters, I love to, share with them. But the license plate, like it's just so cool. It's just so cool.
Wow.
To be able to do that, but really to keep things out of the trash.
Yeah. Okay. And then can we also talk about the other way that you recycle, which is the textiles?
Yes, I would love to. Ooh. So textile recycling is popping up really everywhere. In my town outside of Boston in Stoughton, I'd say there's at least 15 of them probably in my town of 30,000 people. So people get those eyes looking and find them. Everything that is a material can be recycled, whether it is in brand new, perfect condition, right? You can't find the mate, which happens to everyone, or whether it's raggedy and has holes, or if it's your favorite pair of sandals, Amy, in the whole world, and then one day the stupid strap in the back just falls off, right? There's no way to save this. A cobbler's not going to save this. These are going to be textiled, right? These will be broken down and reused. And the biggest and most beautiful thing, right, about textile recycling, not only is it the paramount of this business and eco-organized approach, it is a fundraiser for the children of our town. So it's also an easy way to recycle. I told you, Amy, I have 2 dogs, and so we send them to Petco sometimes, and they come back with cute little bandanas, but then they get all yucky after, right? These, easy thing to textile. A client had this, and it was, an ice scraper, but the ice scraper part broke, right? But you know what? This is still recyclable. Everyone has these little bags, that they get. Easy. You could teacher prize this, obviously, but I think it's just an easy thing, to recycle. And let's assume you own your own business and make a shirt, right? But don't do a good job making it, and it didn't line properly. I felt bad. I don't want to waste things, but can you see over here? It missed the part of my business name. But this is an easy textile. I'm not going to wear it. It's not the name of my business, can't do that. But it's just about finding creative ways to reuse things. A client tried to make like something, she cut it all up and did something cute with it, for some costume. It can be recycled. Everyone has these, little bra things or underwear things. This is all busted. And of course, that's the thing where things aren't made well anymore, right. Amy, it doesn't make sense for the majority of people to go and fix this, where most people would throw this out. This is a great textile, but really anything that is a material is super, super easy to textile. This came from a bag, someone's purse. Easy thing to textile. I don't buy designer name things, so I don't really know what's fancy or what's not. But, all of these things are super, super easy recycled.
And so how does that work?
So it's so fun. Not only is it a fundraiser, but over half of the things that are given to the bins that are dry and in a bag, they get measured and weighed. The school gets money, but then over half of the items get resold. That not my shirt that had the mishap, but something that's beautiful and usable condition. If these were, a matching set, this would just be resold to, a wholesale distributor or someone, maybe Savers, Salvation Army, someone would buy these good stuff by the pound. But otherwise, they get cut up and broken down and sold as rags. So it's this beautiful cycle, Amy, of things where, again, you don't throw things away in the trash, right? We don't do that anymore. It technically is illegal in Massachusetts. I don't know, about Maine or Virginia, but you don't throw things away in the trash. And
that blows my mind that that's actually illegal. I mean, it's very cool that it is, but
it is. No, it really is.
I don't know that it is anywhere else. That's really interesting.
And it helps to be creative, but again, just like the model of an eco-organized approach and helping clients to get rid of things, a client was obsessed with this, it's a bit dirty, right? Yep. It's old, but I do like to reuse things, of course, but also if it's going to hurt you when you go to grab something hot, right? It's just not safe. And so, so it's a beautiful program that keeps things out of landfills, which, we love doing here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you collect it, and then you said that in your area, it's at the school. There's
Yes.
It's like a bin or like a metal.
That's it's like this large metal receptacle. It has a handle with almost like a tray.
On it?
What's that?
Does it say something specific on it so that you know?
The company around here is called Bay State Textiles. I think they're located down toward the Cape, maybe toward Plymouth or something, in Massachusetts. But there's, companies all over. They're all called different things. but they are ultimately responsible and upkeep them. But every week they come and empty the receptacles, and they're super easy to use. There's like the super long lever, large metal receptacle, and then you just put the bags on there, push it up, and then it falls down. Sometimes it gets stuck when you try to overfill it like we do sometimes, but yes, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And it again, it's that feel good kind of feeling, that you've done good in the world, or at least better with the planet that we have.
Right. And so with that, if they sell products, um, then then a portion of that goes to the school because you said it's a fundraiser.
Yeah, so you have your big bag that you throw in. Again, I don't know how much money per pound the school gets, but they get paid for however much is in there. And then it gets delineated and separated from there. But what's super cool is someone like, a painter, a welder, a mechanic, a car mechanic, they would buy and spend legit money on rags, right? So anything that is clothing, again, if this were a sheet, if this were a large sheet and not just a case, this would get cut down, broken into smaller pieces, and then sold to like, a mechanic, someone working with grease, a welder, something like that. And so it would provide those rags for that as well. Yeah. So it's really cool. It's
My
really cool.
goodness. You're just like super, super recycler. And I think that's awesome.
Thank you. Yes, I try. I try.
And it's easy to see why you do that because it just is so fulfilling for you to see smiles on people's faces and
It is.
to
It
have them
is.
make those phone calls and say, "Oh my gosh, I can breathe so much easier tonight. Thank you so."
Right. But
Uh,
it is also, we teach too, and teach our clients and teach the community. I think we have just over 2,000 people that follow, an eco-organized approach. And it's about teaching them. And this beautiful thing happens when you're teaching, I've taught CCD for years and teaching elementary, children. And there's these simple things that you get reminded of when you're teaching, right? And that helps to spark the excitement and the joy of like, oh yeah, now I remember why I do that. That's awesome. Yes, that it does make you feel good, of, oh, you can do this with whatever it is, potting soil or pencils or this. Um, and it's a super fun business. It never expected this to be my path. But it is beautiful and so fulfilling, helping so many people on both sides of the
I get
spectrum.
that. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I can, you were saying earlier that your brain is like the library card system. And I
Yes.
can totally see that. You're like when you pick something up at someone's house, like, ooh, I have an idea where that would go. Like, who would love that? That would be so
Yes.
fun. Um,
100%.
I think this is fascinating, and I think it's a good message for people to be. And I know one of the things that you like to talk about is, just rethinking your purchases and do I really need this? And does this have a place in my space? And
Yes.
you and I both live in smaller spaces, and so,
Right.
we both have that mindset. It's sort of out of necessity, but it's also just like um, it's just a good thing to do. I do this online. Like
Right.
if I'm shopping online, I'll like fill up my cart, not fill up my cart.
Right.
Like I
Right.
put things in my cart and then I'll wait overnight or a couple days and be
Yes.
like, do I still feel the same way about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because that impulse shopping that's dangerous stuff.
Love that. Yes. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, and so a lot of like repurposing is something that you like to do because you were talking about like iPhone boxes. I don't have my iPhone box, that's for sure. But
Ah.
just you were saying about using a cutlery thing for organizing a drawer.
Yes, yes, a client didn't, I was doing a junk drawer in the kitchen and the client didn't have any other small, kind of plasticky organizers. And I just threw it out. I was like, you don't by chance have like, a silverware drawer or something. And she was like, actually, I do. Reached into the closet and pulled out one that she just never returned. That happens a lot too. And it happens to everybody. It happens to me as well. That you have all those intentions of returning it and you just don't. And we were able to use that cutlery drawer perfectly in the junk drawer. And instead of knives, we simply put that, and that's where the scissors were, right? And then everything, Sharpies and pens and markers and everything just flowed beautifully. And it was a super fun, like zero cost makeover. And we've done the same thing at clients' houses. That a client had a slew of like those black takeout containers with the little pockets in them, kind of pouches. And like, listen, you want to go out later and get something, that's fine, but let's take all your matchbooks and put them where the potatoes would go over here, and take all of, the paper clips and put them here, and use takeout containers in a drawer instead of, a fancy organizer from the Container Store or from Target or wherever, yeah, it's a good feeling. And I was just at a client's the other day, and she really struggles with organization, and she is a single mom and really is working hard. And, she said to me, she's like, MaryEllen, I wanted to go out and buy this the other day. And I thought, what would MaryEllen say? And MaryEllen would say, shop your closet. And so that's what I did. And it was like,
yeah, I was just going to bring that up. One of the things that you said was shopping your house. And
yes,
you don't have to buy something new. You don't have to leave the house.
no,
Find
shop
something
your
to-
home. Yes. I just set up a new, I'll show you quickly. I just set up a new little pantry over here, kind of like a backstock pantry. And I didn't buy any new fancy organizers. I literally used an old ice box that I had, and that's what the popsicles are in there. Not fancy, it's not amazing, it's just functional, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I love that thrill of finding something and thinking, how the heck else can I use this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, MaryEllen, if you had one thing that you would want people to take from this, like a favorite suggestion or idea for people to think about, what would that be?
Ooh. Um, you know, think about who's in your life and how you can help them, right? I have clients that say all the time, like, oh, this is going to go to my sister-in-law, Ellen. Okay, text her right now. And they're like, what? And I'm like, just text her right now. And then Ellen says she wants this. I'm like, okay, when are you going to see Ellen? They're like, next Saturday at the cookout. I go set a reminder on, I don't want to say it out loud, 𝗚𝗍𝗍, and say, remember to bring that for Ellen. Like, we need to get stuff out of your house. And that's really why an eco-organized approach exists, is because we do all of that for you. There's no more intentions, Amy. I had a client once who was so proud of herself, the sweet thing. There were like 3 bags filled with stuff. And she said, MaryEllen, look what's over there. And I said, oh, did you do some organizing and some parting with things? And she said, yes. And I said, that's so wonderful. How long has it been there? And then she goes like this. Right? It's like that meme, that joke, Amy, of things sitting in your trunk for, you're going to donate these to Goodwill, but they're going to stay in your trunk for 3 weeks first, right? Things have to stay present in your sight to remember them. When I leave your house or business, I have all of these textiles. They go in the front seat. And they go in the front seat because they're going to annoy me in the front seat, and I see them. And if one of the children want to sit in the front seat, they're going to want them out, and that's really what I did with this business, was using the people around me to try to help them, so I'd love for people to really think about what they have and how they can help others, before just throwing away. So many people want your old magazines that you don't want anymore. So many people. Girl Scouts would want them. The art teacher would want them. Any local artist would want them. A senior center would want them,
I was gonna suggest that too.
you know?
I love the thought of keeping it front and center, like right in your face, so that you don't forget to deal with it.
Right?
That's it's such an important thing. Because I think it's all too common that we're like, yeah, I'm gonna put it out of the way right now. I'll remember it. I swear,
Yes,
I'll remember it.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things that's weird because it's like I'm giving away all of my trade secrets, if you will. I'm telling people how I do things, where to do things, why, how, when to do things, but yet I'll still get rehired, and hired by new people because the task sometimes is just so overwhelming and debilitating, Amy, for people. Um, whether that's, a widow or whether that's a functioning family that's just freaking busy.
Yeah.
You don't need a special ailment or anything to hire us. Um, I want to hire me sometimes, but it's really for everyone, but you get so much back after just, a 4-hour session of, that good feeling. Like you feel good, you've helped the community, you've helped a small business, you know, all of those things. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. So, this has been super helpful. I really appreciate you coming and talking to us about this. But so, Mary Ellen, what does the word sustainability mean to you?
Oh, I'm gonna be such a teacher nerd. Like it means to sustain, to like keep going, right? To fortify, like use what you have. It's not about buying new stuff, right? It's not about buying fast fashion. It's about using what you have and keeping and sustaining, elongating the life expectancy of things, you know?
Ooh, I love
I
that part.
I love doing that. I have challenged myself for no new clothes this year.
Oh, that's
It
great.
has been
How many days now?
it's only been 141. Not that I'm counting, Amy, but if I were to, it'd be 141 days. And I have, called girlfriends and said, listen, I'm going to this networking event or I have this banquet. Can I borrow something? A friend moved stuff out of her house and had one whole room and made it a shopping experience. She took clothes and shoes and accessories for like a week or two from the community, from people in the community, and people got to shop for free, whether or not they actually dropped stuff off. So again, I dropped a ton of stuff off for my clients and I went and shopped and it was fun. It was free, but it was also MaryEllen, like 10 years ago, probably would have taken 4 or 5 bags home. The new and improved MaryEllen took, I think, a bag, a decent sized bag home of shirts that I really like,
Yep.
shoes, that kind of stuff. So I'm finding other ways to bring that joy to me besides that impulse, right? And dopamine, serotonin hits when you make that purchase from the cart or when it arrives at your front door.
Well, and that's going to feel really good too, because not
Yes.
only are you saving money and you're not buying new things, but you're using that creative brain.
Yes.
Just it gives you that feeling of accomplishment.
Absolutely. I called my girlfriend Sheila when I was getting ready for my son's confirmation. I'd probably like 5 weeks in advance. She literally was working from home. She set up like a whole boutique for me in her bedroom. And then I went downstairs if I really liked it. And then she told me whether or not she liked it. And I got my outfit from that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was awesome. Yeah, so again, using those people in your community and using, your friends and it was a fun thing because it would be so easy to be busy and to not see Sheila, but I got to see her and go shopping, at the same time and save myself money on a dress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean the idea of like renting clothes or like borrowing something like that's so cool because one, it like you're not spending money, but you're also like freshening up your own look
Yes.
temporarily, and then you could give it back, or or whatever happens with that. That's really fun. Just
Yes, absolutely. Because
have
Amy,
that.
this beautiful thing, I know we're going to wrap up, but this beautiful thing happens like that happened to clients, but also is happening to me now with the no close. And it's going to sound weird, but like people start to feel grateful and thankful and like blessed, if you will, for the items that they have, right? Because when your kitchen table is covered in, I don't know, 200 items, you can't value those items because you can't see them and you can't utilize them, right? And the same is true for your wardrobe because they say like the average person wears like, I don't know, I think it's 20 or 25% of what's actually in your closet, right? I use almost everything in my closet. I don't, I might have like 6 cardigans and a couple pairs of pants and some shirts. Sweatshirts and stuff. I don't have an abundance of things. Like, I think I honestly have like 17 pairs of shoes, and that includes rain boots, slippers, flip flops. I don't have a lot of stuff. So that also saves time, right? When I'm getting ready to go out, I don't have as much to choose from as another person, but it saves me time, which I love. And it saves those decisions. You know what I mean? I
Right.
get ready for a date. I'm like, easy. I'm like 20 minutes. I'm not in there for an hour and a half picking out an outfit and doing all of these things. But you become thankful for what you have when you can actually, when it's like a tactile thing, right? Like when you can see it and feel it. And that doesn't happen when you have an abundance of things, So it's a nice feeling, to be like, I don't think most people are thankful for their clothes, right? Because most people just have too many. But when
Right.
you don't have as much, you really value it.
Right.
So that's a beautiful thing, and it's a fun kind of result of having less,
Right.
or having enough, not less, but having an ample amount.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, I mean, that's super fun. I'm just thinking of like the clicking of hangers, over and over and over again as you're looking for something that would work. And then would this go with this and this with this just
Right.
whole like analysis paralysis type of thing. Like,
Absolutely.
the choices are harder the more you have. Um, but this has been so interesting.
Yeah.
it's kind of like a different angle, but it's also just like I just love things that make you think and make you sort of really think about where you're at, and do you have too much stuff, and it just makes me think and makes my mind work. And I don't know, my mind works a lot, but this
Yay! I'm
it's a new
so
thing.
glad to hear that.
Um,
Yeah, it's super fun. I'm so lucky to do what I do, and not gonna lie, I love that my 12-year-old daughter sees her mom running her own business, and working certain hours and really hours around my family. I don't work on weekends really anymore, and I just work for the most part while they're in school,
yeah.
so yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, but it's a great business, and it really does that eco part of the business, and how to maintain the life of items without buying new ones is it's super cool, and it has really changed. It really has changed me. I live with far less now. I never had very much living in 1,400 square feet, but I have far less now, and I really like what I have, you know, whether that's pots and pans or, clothes or shoes or whatever, I like what I have.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Mary Ellen, how can people find you, learn more about what you do? Because you said that you're doing a lot of speaking also.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
how
Starting
can
to do more
people?
speaking engagements.
Yeah.
I just booked a women's conference in November, and can really start to promote the eco portion of the business. Because here's the thing, organizing actually isn't challenging, Amy, right? Organizing isn't hard. You just need less stuff.
Mm,
You can't organize when you have too much stuff,
right.
right? And that also has been a transition for the business as well. With this eco organized part. But I am on Facebook at an eco-organized approach. I am also on Instagram. You can look for the fun logo that you will see right there. Those fun dominant colors. And newly on Pinterest and hope to be on YouTube soon as well.
Oh, Pinterest is smart. Good for
Yes.
you.
Yes, I'm just new to it. So it's I haven't even promoted it yet because it's not perfect. Not that anything is perfect ever in life, Amy, right? No matter what anything looks like, but it will be up and running shortly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will have all the links in the show notes, you guys. But MaryEllen, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate your time and
Thank
I love
you.
all that you're doing. It's just so it's energizing for me to see how it affects you.
You. Oh, that's really sweet. Thank
You are
you.
just you are lit up talking about it. It's just like it gives you so much life
Thank
to
you.
just to offer this to other people, and it's just a beautiful thing, and it's and it's inspiring for us to also just think about our own lives and what we have,
Right.
what we
It's nice to love your business, right? It's nice to love your job. Everyone should love their jobs, and I'm so lucky that I get to love my job, except for when my husband yells at me about all the stuff in the house. That isn't our stuff. But yeah, besides that, I love that. And thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun. I could stay talking to you forever.
Yay. Yes, for sure. Well, yes. So you guys look up Mary Ellen Lundy and an eco-organized approach.
Thank you so much.